Hello, and welcome to Battle Report number 24? I think it's 24. Oh, maybe it's 25. Hang on, give me a moment. Yes, 24. Battle Report number 24. Hello. So, we've jumped straight forward from the Scottish Championships to the English Championships, which feels like a nice progression, but I have missed a load of UB tournaments, which I won't be doing now. Nobody wants to watch tons of really old UB games. There's out-of-date ID, out-of-date Vermin Swarm, out-of-date... what's the other one? Dread Elves. You know, the KOE book is coming out sometime in the future, so, you know, by the time I get partway through them, that'll be out of date as well. And of course, I've played most of my games with Kingdom of Equitan. I do also have 3 real-life tournaments that I went to with my Dwarven holds, which I will be doing immediately after I finish the Scottish Championship, the English Championship, sorry. I just wanted to do the English Championships first, because, as I said earlier, Kingdom of Equitan are getting a new book sometime soon, who knows when, and I wanted to get these done before they all are all out of date. So, English Championships, and then we'll go back and do all the Dwarves. Ta-da! You're up to date. So, first game of the tournament, I was drawn against Infernal Dwarves. So, I'm very excited to be taking something other than Dwarves to a tournament. I'll be taking my Kingdom of Equitan, which I was frantically painting up until the very last moment, and then I still had to borrow a load of models off of a friend. Thank you very much, Hugh, for that. So let's take a look at the lists, shall we? So, for my list for the tournament, I've taken a Duke, who's my general. He's sitting on a Hippogriff. He's got a shield enchanted with the Fortress of Faith. Heavy armor enchanted with the Basalt Infusion for a 3-up ward. That pushes the armor save to a 2-up with a re-rolling 1s with the Fortress of Faith. His hand weapon has got Tristan's Resolve. That's the +1 attack, strength, and AP, and you can discard a hit to break a weapon enchantment on your opponent for the rest of the game. He's got an Obsidian Rock for MR2, Potion of Swiftness for a 1-off, +3 agility, and he's got the Virtue of Renown, so that's the old heroic killing blow type thing. You roll a 6, that's lethal strike with multiple wounds, D3. Next up is a rather expensive Damsel. I went quite heavy on my magic this tournament. She's sitting on an Equitan unicorn. She's a wizard master of Druidism. She's got a Talisman of the Void for an extra channel and Rod of Battle for an additional bound spell, just +1 to hit. Next up, I've got a Damsel Chaff. He's sitting on a Barded Warhorse, and he's a wizard apprentice of Shamanism. And then next up, I've got my BSB. He's also on a Barded Warhorse. He's got a shield. His standard is enchanted with an Aether icon for MR1. His lance has got Divine Judgement, so that's magical attacks and devastating charge, multiple wounds, D3 +1, which is brutal, especially when mixed with Audacity. He's got the Virtue of Audacity, which means he rerolls to hit rolls against models with large, and he rerolls to hit and to wound against models with large towering presence. So he's brutal against monsters, which is fantastic. Really enjoyed that. He's also got a Potion of Strength, so he's decent if something charges him. Virtue of Audacity doesn't count as an attack attribute, so I still get my rerolls against gigantic things, which is very, very tasty. And finally, he's got a Grail Oath, so he's always got a 5-up Aegis, sorry. He's fearless, and he can join my Grail Knights. In core, I've got the classic standard Banner of the Last Charge bus. That's 11 Realm Knights with full command. 2 small units of Knights of the Realm, that's 2 lots of 6 with full command. I've got a unit of 8 Knights of the Grail with full command and a Stalker standard. The Green Knight, 2 lots of 5 Yeoman Outriders with shields, light armor, and bows, and finally 2 Scorpions. And then for my opponent's list, he's got a Prophet of Ashuruk, who's his general. The Ashuruk one is the one that can switch out his attributes, so if he's got Pyromancy, then he can use the Alchemy one instead of the Pyromancy attribute, or vice versa. And automatically triggers the... if he's using Occultism, I can't remember what that is, but that's neither here nor there in this game, because he's a Wizard Master of Pyromancy. So he can use Alchemical Fire or Blaze, which is quite nice. He's got a Talisman of the Void for an extra channel as well. He's got a Lamasu Scholar with a Book of Arcane Mastery, and then his Battle Standard Bearer is a Vizier with Blaze of Protection for a 1-up save, a great weapon, and Mask of Ages, which is a 5-up Aegis against special attacks, I believe, and against flaming. Maybe it's a 4-up. Either way, that provides an Aegis save against certain things. Generally, it's stuff that I can ignore, though. In core, he's got a big brick of Citadel Guard with pistols and spears, full command and a flaming standard, 17 Citadel Guard with flintlock axes and a musician, 21 shackled slaves with shields, so they can provide soft cover to a unit within 6, specifically standard infantry, I believe. 17 Disciples of Lugar with paired weapons, full command and a rending banner. 19 Immortals with spears, full command and a banner of discipline. A Kadim Chariot with paired weapons, a Naphtha Thrower artillery, 2 Vassal Slingshots, and 2 Giants, one with a Tower Shield, that gives parry and soft cover, I believe, and a classic Giant Club for +1 strength and AP. So lots of quite smallish bricks, to be honest. I mean, none of them, if I bounce off of any of them, then it'd be pretty not good for my for my lances, right? But hopefully small enough that if I do hit them, and hit them hard enough and with the right magic support, I can just go straight through. The Citadel Guard probably will cause me issues. That's quite a lot of guys there with Strength 4, and then they're AP 3 on the turn I charge them, unless I charge them in the front. And of course, they've got a Flaming Standard with Vassal Slingshots, with Alchemical Fire from his Wizard Master. I'm very likely to be flammable against him, which is not good, especially with all of that AP. But the rest of the army should be pretty reasonably easily dealt with. Should be. So we'll see. And of course the Giants, I mean, I'm not tremendously worried about Giants. Their lateral movement could be an issue, but if I can pin them down, then, you know, I'll deal with them easily enough. So let's take a look at the game. So for round 1, we were playing Encircle and Secure Target. You can just about see the token in the very bottom corner of the field on the left there. That was where my opponent placed his marker, and then on the right, in the center of that's where I placed my token. For magic, of course, my Shamanism Apprentice has got Awaken the Beast, and then my Druidess has got her Rod of Battle, Entwining Roots, Summer's Growth, Stone Skin, and Spirits of the Wood. The Pyromancy Master has got the Hereditary, Fireball, Flaming Swords, and number 4. I think that Pyroclastic Flow? I think that's just slightly bigger Fireball. Pyromancy is quite simple, it's all Strength 4 AP, nothing hits, isn't it? The Lamasu took Witchcraft 2 and Occultism 3, so I think that's Breath of Corruption and Bewitching Glare, and I forced it to take an extra channel instead of an additional spell. So this is a little bit into Infernal Dwarves turn 1. You can see those giants up on the left have moved forward with the Lamasu behind, which was a gorgeous model, by the way. It's got I don't know what the dwarf is on the back, but it's got a, I think it's got a converted head. It must do, with probably pretty extensive work done to it to make it look like that. And that's originally a Stormcast Eternals model, I believe, from AOS. So that's very exciting. Behind them, they've got there's a Vassal Slingshot, then the Slaves at the very back, the Naphtha Thrower, then from left to right, all the blocks, the Citadel Guard with the BSB, then it's the Immortals with the Prophet of Asheruk, then the Disciples of Lugar, another Vassal Slingshot, the Kadim Chariot, and the Citadel Guard with the Flintlock Axes on the right. And then on my side, just in the very, 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 very left there, you can see a corner of my Scorpion poking out. Then I've got 6 Knights of the Realm looking off to the left, my BSB and Shamanism Damsel is sitting in with the Grail Knights. Some Yeomen have vanguarded forward and have just taken a wound from something. My Hippogriff there, he's sitting on his giant toad. Then another Scorpion, my Knights of the Realm with the Unicorn Damsel, another 6 Knights of the Realm, and the final units of Yeoman Outriders on the right. So those giants are moved up on the left. I think this is probably at the end of turn 1. He's shot off a single Yeoman Outrider from the centre of the board there, and a fireball from his Wizard Master has done 3 wounds to the Scorpion out on the right. Nothing else particularly happens. He's put a flaming marker on my what are they called? Incendiary markers on the Grail Knights in the centre there. And we go to my turn 1. So he's shot off several more of those Yeoman Outrider in the centre, but I do have one of them alive still. I declare a charge with the Realm Knights on the left against that giant. I think they only needed a 9 or a 10, and I decided to go for it because, you know, I'm not too worried about giants. That, like, I think as I've proved in previous battle reports, they're not tremendously great against 6 Realm Knights. So I go in there, and then thankfully I make it. So that's fighting against the one with the giant club. After the rest of my moves, I push up very aggressively with the Yeoman on the right. Oh, this is at the end of the turn. So the Yeoman on the right push up very aggressively out of line of sight of the flintlock axes. The Knights of the Realm push up as well, forcing the flintlock axe Citadel Guard to either deal with the Yeoman and turn his side to me, or to deal with me and let the Yeoman go off after all the artillery. The Knights of the Realm on the hill move forward so that all of them are on there, and pushing forward a little bit closer to their lines. I think I'm still out of charge range there. The Knights of the Grail push forward a little bit as well. Again, Dwarves have got very short charge ranges, so I'm just pushing up a little bit, and I'm not too scared of his shooting, really, especially with a forest between me and him. I deploy the Green Knight very early on. I'm not, as I said, not worried about his shooting at all. The Hippogriff moves over to the left to try and deal with the Giants and the Lamassu. In Magic, I take off a wound from the Scorpion there with an attribute. I think I put Stone Skin on the Knights of the Realm on the far right. And then in combat, I managed to do 4 wounds to that giant, who then fails to do nothing to me between bad rolling and me taking saves. I break him as he isn't steadfast, and he flees. The Lamassu passes his panic. But the other giant doesn't and flees 11 inches into the forest there on the left. So, going into ID turn 2. He does turn around. He puts flaming swords on... So this is after his magic. I don't think he did an awful lot of moving around. He doesn't want to come and engage me and tempt me into charges. In Magic, I saved all my dice initially for flaming swords. And then got greedy and thought I'd split my dice a little bit, and then failed to dispel flaming swords, which is not very good news for me. He turns around with the Citadel Guard and blasts away the poor Yeoman Outriders. I think they all died. They didn't fail a panic or anything. You can see 2 flammable tokens on the Knights of the Realm there. And then in my turn 2, it must be, that giant failed to rally. So I charge him off the board. The slingshot passes its panic, and the knights redirect into them. What have they taken? They must have been shot by the naphtha flamethrower in the centre there. I just haven't taken a photo of that. I don't think the photos were great for this game. So they'll charge the slingshots. I declare a charge with the Realm Knights on the right into the flintlock axes, despite being double flammable. I've still got Stone Skin up, and I had Oaken Thrown up as well, so I was really resilient 6, so he was wounding me on 5s, but he gets a reroll against that, so yeah, oops. So they managed to kill 2 of me. I fail then my panic on the stand and shoot, and I flee, which is a shame. And then on the left, I do make it into combat with the Vassal Slingshots, and by the looks of things, that giant rallied in the ID turn. And that's an overview of my movement. So I've moved the Green Knight over to try and tempt the giant into a charge, at which point I can go in with the Hippogriff. I've just shuffled about a little bit with the Grails and the Realm Knights. I'm not really wanting to do anything. Oh, I've moved my BSB over, that's why. So I didn't want to go forward and commit. I wanted to rally that unit so that they could be busy to score the objective at the end of the game. So my BSB's over there to get them to rally. So I didn't go forward with any of my units to commit on the right. This is at the end of the combat, so this is at the end of the turn. Unsurprisingly, the Realm Knights finish off the Vassal Slingshot and turn to face the centre of the board. And we go to Infernal Dwarves, turn 3. So that giant on the left, you can just see him poking out by the Green Knight. He's out of line of sight there, and I think that's a 7 or an 8 charge for my Hippogriff. So he's tempting me in there. The Lamasu moves up behind the Realm Knights, but close enough to Breath Weapon them if he gets Breath of Corruption off. The Citadel Guard don't care, but the Shackled Slaves have turned around to face the Knights of the Realm. So there's no combat. Between shooting and magic, he does another 3 wounds to that Scorpion, so it's on its last one now. And now both the Knights of the Realm and the Knights of the Grail have 2 incendiary markers on them. And so do the Knights of the Realm in the top left by the Lamasu. And that takes us to the Equitan turn again. So I went for a charge here. I mean, you know, I shouldn't have. It was a turn early. If I'd waited a turn, then I could send in the Grails at the same time, potentially. But I wasn't sure. Well, I thought with enough magic support, if I get my Damsel within 24 inches, then I can regrow enough of them. I think they were in the right sort of place to get support from other Druidism spells. But, you know, it was a bit too much of a gamble. I could have been far safer just moving them away. Getting out of line of sight of the Lamasu. I don't think the Shackled Slaves would want to charge me, and if they did, then they'd be away from other stuff. Yeah, either way, charging them to the side of the Citadel Guard was too cavalier of me, really. I do manage to get Entwining Roots off on the Citadel Guard. The Hippogriff fails to charge into the Giant there. So I move the Green Knight off to try and cover as many spots as possible for that Giant. On the right, I do rally those Knights of the Realm, so they turn back around, and then I move forward very, very aggressively with the Knights of the Realm Banner of the Last Charge unit and the Knights of the Grail. The BSB goes back into the Grail Knight unit, so they'll be ready for a charge next turn. So ID turn 4 now. Finally he gets a fireball off on this Scorpion again, and I just let that through to make sure he doesn't get any combat buffs on the units that I want to charge in my turn 4. So that Scorpion dies, having hit and killed nothing, by the way. Nothing else of note happens in his turn. I think potentially he kills... Yeah, so the Knights of the Realm charge the side of the Citadel Guard, kill a couple of them. One of them dies. I win combat, and then he turns to face me. And then in his turn, he kills me and then returns to face towards the centre of the board. Then in my turn 4 here, I declare a charge with the Knights of the Realm and the Unicorn Damsel into the Disciples of Lugar. And the Knights of the Grail are really going to show what they're made of, and they're going to go into the block of 19 Bodyguard Immortals. And see how that goes down for me. Both of the charges make it in. I think it was a 7 or an 8 for both of them. And then after combat here, so magic, I get... What do I get off? I can't remember what spells I managed to get off, but... I put Spirits of the Wood on the Immortals. So that means that they're now in a forest, so they're not steadfast. They are still bodyguard, but we'll see what happens with that in a moment. And really, I think I should have gone with Stone Skin on this unit. I knew going in that they had an awful lot of Strength 4 AP1 attacks, and with a Rending Banner. So Strength 4 AP2 is very, very bad for KoE, because that leaves me with a 4-up, 6-up. And he's wounding me on 3s. He's flaming all the time, and I've got inflammable. I'm flammable at the moment, so... He goes through half of my unit. He's still steadfast. No, he's not steadfast, but I think that was a drawn combat between all my kills and his kills. So not good for the Knights of the Realm there, and a mistake on my part with my magic discipline, really. In combat with the Grails there, you can see that the Immortals have disappeared. So my BSB was in contact with his Prophet of Asheruk, and then between 3 attacks, offensive 6, and then strength 6, AP 3, and then I do multiple wounds D3+1. So I think in total I did about 7 wounds to that poor Prophet and exploded him. And of course the unit is no longer steadfast because it's in a forest. It's no longer bodyguard because it doesn't have a character. And then between a couple of the wounds that the Grail Knights did, or more, I can't remember how much damage I did to the unit, I broke it very easily on static combat res. And passed through, and then hit the Naphtha Thrower behind it. And that takes us to ID turn 5, it must be. So the Lammasu has moved up behind the Naphtha Thrower. If I manage to kill that this turn... well, first of all, the Qadim Chariot has charged into the flank of the Knights of the Realm, hoping to kill them and overrun to the flank of the Knights of the Grail. And if he manages that, then it doesn't matter that I could overrun to the Lammasu, because presumably I'll be held there by a chariot. He moves his Lammasu over there to get in range of the Qadim Chariot to give it Breath of Corruption to help it with that combat. The Flintlock Axe Citadel Guard on the right have moved up to get into range of my Knights of the Realm who have rallied, and I think I've moved my Hippogriff over, which is why the Citadel Guard on the left with the spears have turned around. But without a picture I can't see. Over here, so I missed it with photos, but the giant hid behind the hill and then charged my Scorpion, killed it, and then went off the board. So my Green Knight is now sitting, waiting for him to come back on, and there's nothing he can do to hide from me now, if I position myself correctly. At the end of combat, at the end of this turn, so the Qadim Chariot, he does get Breath of Corruption off. I saved all my dice for it and still failed to dispel it. The Qadim Chariot goes through the Knights of the Realm, breaks them, but doesn't catch them, and they pop out just enough space to be safe from all of the other units there, which was very, very lucky on my part. They are fleeing, but because of the number of wounds that the Damsel have, they're above 25%, so they will be rallying on their own discipline, thankfully. And yes, you can see the Hippogriff has moved over. So the Qadim Chariot overruns into the side of the Grails, kills a good few of them. That looks as though 3 or 4 of them have died. Of course, I wipe out the Naphtha Thrower, and I do a couple of wounds to the Chariot as well. And that takes us to Equitan turn 5. And there's a better picture of that. Much nicer and clearer. So in my turn 5, the Hippogriff has charged over the Shackled Slaves and the Citadel Guard into the Lammasu. Only done 2 wounds to it, because, you know, he needs to roll 6s to be good in combat, really, which is unfortunate, especially because he's an awful lot of points otherwise. The Knights of the Realm and the Unicorn Damsel fail to rally, so they keep fleeing. Knights of the Grail with the BSB and the Shamanism Damsel have killed the Chariot and are facing off towards the objective there. And the Green Knight is sitting watching for the Giant to come back on. So now we have ID turn 6 here. So the Flintlock Axe guys move up onto the objective. The Citadel Guard in the centre of the board with the BSB turn around to face the Grails. The the Disciples of Lugar, turn to face the Grails, and the Shackled Slaves charge the Knights of the Realm, who flee off towards the centre of the board there near the objective. And the Giant comes back on, and because he can't hide, he's just going to stand there and wait for the Green Knight to charge him. Which takes us to Equitan turn 6. Oh, yes, these guys shot off the Knights of the Realm, so they're gone now. Which is a shame, because I needed them to score. So, Equitan turn 6. I do rally with the Knights of the Realm on the left there. So they're now sitting within 6 of the objective, which means I'm scoring that. The Hippogriff has finally killed... This is at the end of my turn 6 here, so the Knights of the Grail march away from the Citadel Guard and the Disciples of Lugar. I'd actually forgotten that it was turn 6, so I had considered charging the Disciples of Lugar and wiping them out, but I decided that it would be safer to move up right behind the Citadel Guard and try and deal with them next turn, because I thought there was another turn. Thankfully, I was wrong and it was turn 6, so I marched onto the objective, which was very, very lucky. And then in combat, as I say, the Hippogriff, the giant toad, has finished off the Lamassu finally. The Green Knight fails to break the giant. I win combat, and then he passes his steadfast check. And that takes us to the end of the game. So, we totted up the scores, and after points, I was winning 13-7, killing the General and the Immortal block pushed me up fairly decently, and I didn't lose anything particularly large. And then for the objective as well, we're drawing the one on the right, and I've scored the one on the left. However, at the time, my opponent and I just offhandedly thought, that the turn that you rally, you're shaken, and so wouldn't be available to score, and I didn't think to check that. We were just under the impression that, you're shaken on the turn that you rally, which is a shame, because that stops the score at a 13-7 instead of the 16-4 that it was. I should say that it was entirely lucky that I scored the objective, the fact that the Realm Knights are chased there to within 6 of the objective, and that I accidentally marched up to within 6 with the Grail Knights. But from a score point of view entirely, that's a shame and a mistake on my part. Yes, very entertaining game, and I've been playing 9th Age for 2.5 years, and that is my first game against Infernal Dwarves, either Legendary Army book or the Slim book, so I don't know how I've managed that, but I've finally played against all 16 main factions. I think I've also played against all of the supplement armies as well, like all 4 of them, so this was the final one that I was waiting for. So I don't know how I managed that. Yeah, so I was still impressed with a 13-7 idea, generally a bit of a bad matchup for Kingdom of Equitan with the Kadim and Alchemy. This was a slightly better matchup in that respect, but I'm still very pleased to start the tournament with a win, and we'll take that going into Game 2. So thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in round 2.